There's a version of you that everyone sees. You walk around in it. You answer messages through it. You show up to work, relationships, family, and it functions well enough. It's polite, capable. It knows when to smile. It knows what tone to use depending on who's in the room. It keeps things peaceful, predictable, manageable. But here's what no one tells you. That version of you, it's not actually you. It's a character you've been playing, built out of habits, survival instincts, subtle fear, and years of trying to be accepted without even realizing it. It's the you that doesn't upset people. The one that keeps the conversation light even when something inside you feels heavy. The one that nods in agreement to things you don't fully believe just to avoid the discomfort of being seen differently. And the scariest part? You've played this role so well, you started thinking it's you. But it's not. It's a carefully edited performance of someone who's learned how to survive by being predictable and safe, instead of real. You weren't born like this. You became like this, piece by piece, moment by moment, every time you swallowed your truth, laughed when you wanted to leave, agreed when you should have spoken up. You trimmed parts of yourself down just to fit in rooms that didn't even deserve you. And now, you're still performing, but it's wearing thin. There's something inside you that's starting to notice the cracks. That feeling you get when you leave a conversation and realize you barely said what you meant. That little frustration when someone praises you and it doesn't feel like they're praising the real you, just the version you showed. That's not burnout. That's identity fatigue. And most people live their entire lives stuck in it, playing a version of themselves that checks the right boxes, avoids too much conflict, and blends in just enough to never feel rejected. But deep down, something in you is starting to ask, what if I stopped playing this role? What if you didn't always have to be on? What if you didn't have to keep managing how people experience you? Because until you break that dash, until you do the thing that pulls you out of this scripted version of yourself, you'll keep feeling like life is happening around you, but not really to you. Like you're watching someone else live your life, and you're stuck in the audience, silently wondering what it would feel like to actually be free. So how do you stop playing the role without your whole life falling apart? That's the part no one prepares you for. Because this version of you, the one you've been performing, it's not just emotional, it's social. It's tied into everything. Your friendships, your career, even your rhythm. You've organized your whole life around keeping this identity functional. You're the strong one, the chill one, the helper, the fixer, the one people can depend on because you never make things uncomfortable, even when you're drowning. So when you stop playing that version, things shift. People notice, not always in words, but in how they respond. Someone asks you for something, and you pause instead of saying yes right away. They blink, confused. You say, I don't feel like talking right now. And the silence feels heavier than it should. You stop over-explaining, and suddenly people act like you're distant or difficult. That's what stepping out of the role feels like. Subtle resistance, not just from others, but from your own body. You'll feel guilt where there should be peace. You'll feel selfish when you say no. You'll feel like you're letting people down just by choosing yourself. And this is where most people go back. Back to the mask. Back to the role. Back to the version of themselves that's predictable, liked, and safe. But here's the truth. If safety means constantly sacrificing your truth, it's not safety. It's self-abandonment. And the longer you stay in that role, the more exhausted you become. Not because you're doing too much, but because you're never being you. The freedom starts the moment you stop asking for permission. You stop softening your tone for people who never adjust theirs for you. You stop apologizing for being too intense, too quiet, too deep. You stop saying, it's fine, when it's clearly not fine. And no, not everyone will like the real version of you. But the people who only like the version of you that bent around them, they were never seeing you in the first place. They were seeing a reflection of their own comfort, not your truth. So when you start showing up unfiltered, something else happens. The right people stop being confused. The wrong ones stop sticking around. And you finally start living a life that doesn't feel like a performance you're constantly trying to get right. It won't feel easy, but it will feel honest. And from there, everything changes. Here's what nobody tells you about becoming yourself. You don't instantly feel free. You feel exposed, like standing in a room without armor, like walking out on stage and forgetting your lines, except the lines were never yours to begin with. You spent years building that version of you, not just with actions, but with thoughts, automatic reactions, self-censorship, the constant second-guessing. Will this be too much, too honest, too inconvenient? And when you drop that, even for a moment, you're left with space. Not peace, space. And it's weirdly uncomfortable, because you were so used to filling that space with worry, with pleasing, with making sure everyone was okay, even if you weren't. Now it's just you, unfiltered, and the silence can feel loud. You start noticing how much of your thinking wasn't really thinking. It was rehearsing, replaying, projecting how other people might respond, and adjusting before they even got the chance to meet the real you. And when you stop doing that, your mind doesn't know what to do at first. You'll feel guilt creep in where confidence should be. You'll feel like you're being too much just for being honest. You'll question whether you're pushing people away or finally creating space for who was supposed to be in your life all along. But this is where the real shift begins, because something quiet starts to form in that discomfort. Self-trust. Not the fake kind that says, I'm unstoppable. The real kind that says, I don't need to perform to be loved. I don't need to overthink to be safe. I don't need to shrink to belong. And the more you sit in that space, the more you let it stretch without filling it with old habits, the more your nervous system starts to understand. This version of me doesn't need to be earned. It doesn't need to be validated every 5 minutes to stay alive. It just is. Unapologetic, unpolished, still here. And from that place, your mind softens. The noise turns down. You stop checking the mirror for permission to exist. You start moving through the world with less hesitation. You don't rush to fix what isn't yours. You don't over-explain what your body already said clearly. You don't constantly loop in your head before speaking. You just speak. And what comes out sounds different. It's not scripted. It's not curated. It's just you. Raw. Real. Enough. And then one day, without any big moment or announcement, things around you start to shift. Not dramatically, not like a movie. Quietly, you start responding differently. You say less, but mean more. You don't rush to fill silences with safe words or soften your truth so someone else feels okay. You start hearing yourself speak and thinking, yeah, that actually sounded like me. People around you begin to notice something's different. They might not be able to explain it, but they feel it. Some will lean in, curious, drawn to the calm in you. Others will step back, uncomfortable, maybe even a little threatened by the fact that you're no longer easy to read, easy to predict, easy to please. And you stop chasing their closeness. You stop bending for people just because they've been around. You stop apologizing when your presence shifts the energy in the room, because now you're not performing, you're just showing up. And that presence, it's powerful, but it's also selective. You don't give it to just anyone anymore. You start protecting your energy like it actually means something, because now it does. You feel it when you give too much. You feel it when a space drains you. You feel it when someone's talking to the version of you they remember, not the one you are now. And you don't correct them. You just move on. Because your time is not for proving. It's not for convincing. It's for living. And the more you live from this space, this unscripted, grounded version of yourself, the more your outer life starts to align. You stop tolerating things you used to call not a big deal. You stop forcing conversations that feel flat halfway through. You stop pretending to be okay with disrespect just because you understand where they're coming from. Understanding doesn't mean staying, and that hits different now, because you're not desperate for connection. You're not starving for validation. You're not running from silence. You're finally building something real, not based on appearances, but on energy, not on history, but on alignment, not on who makes you feel needed, but on who makes you feel safe being fully you. And that standard? It's not negotiable anymore. Because once you've met the version of yourself that doesn't perform, doesn't over-explain, doesn't chase, you can't go back to managing relationships built on your silence. You want the real thing now, the kind that doesn't require a mask to maintain, the kind that lets you rest inside your own life instead of constantly performing in it. And once you taste that, peace doesn't feel like a dream anymore. It feels like your baseline. What surprises you most isn't how powerful this version of you feels. It's how steady it feels. Not loud, not intense, just steady. Because before everything felt like a swing, you'd have moments of clarity, then moments of collapse. Days where you felt grounded, followed by nights where you questioned everything. You kept dipping in and out of yourself, depending on the energy in the room, the tone in someone's voice, the look on someone's face. But now, you don't swing as much. You catch yourself when you start reaching. You pause before you people please. You feel when your energy starts slipping into someone else's hands, and you pull it back, calmly, without guilt. That's the difference. It's not that the old triggers disappeared. It's that they lost their grip. They show up, but you don't collapse into them. You see the story trying to replay, and instead of acting it out again, you just breathe. You let the moment pass without turning it into proof that you're not enough. And that's where your power lives, not in controlling life, but in refusing to abandon yourself while it's happening. You stop over-identifying with every mood, every reaction, every old belief that floats back up. You stop building your entire sense of identity on whether or not people are responding the way you hoped. You just watch, and in that watching, you reclaim something. The energy you used to spend managing everyone's perception of you, it goes somewhere else now, into your body, your time, your presence. You're not as drained anymore, not because life got easier, but because you're no longer performing through it. You're not editing your sentences in real time. You're not practicing conversations in your head before they happen. You're not reading into every pause, every sigh, every unread message. You're just here, present, responding, not reacting, moving from what feels true, not what feels safe. And that's when the peace becomes sustainable. Not just a high after a breakthrough, not a reward for being perfect for a day, but something that lives under your skin, something you carry with you into every room, every relationship, every decision. Because you're not seeking clarity anymore, you've become it. And the people who were only drawn to your mask, they start to fade, not with drama, just with silence. You don't chase them. You don't grieve the loss of who you had to be to keep them. You simply recognize it for what it was, a connection built on performance. And now that the performance is over, so is the connection. And that's okay, because for the first time, you're building from truth, not from fear, not from needing to be liked, not from trying to be the right kind of person. Just truth, quiet, solid, unshakable. You start moving slower, not because you're behind, but because you finally understand there's nothing to chase. You stop rushing through your mornings like there's some kind of warm-up for being useful. You stop stuffing your calendar with things you don't care about just to feel valuable. You start leaving space in your day, not as a luxury, but as a baseline, because now you get it. Presence isn't optional. It's the whole point. And in that space, your priorities shift. You're no longer obsessed with being productive all the time. You're more interested in being in alignment. You care less about proving your worth and more about preserving your energy. You don't feel the need to be seen constantly, because now You're finally seeing yourself. That part's huge, because for so long, your life was built around the eyes of others. Every decision passed through the filter. How will this look? Every move was weighed against approval. Every silence filled with a performance you didn't even realize you were giving. But now, you're not living to be perceived. You're living to be present. And that changes everything. You find joy in things that used to feel boring. Washing a dish, taking a walk, sitting still without the background noise of trying to be somewhere else. You don't need everything to be impressive. You just need it to be real. You laugh more, but you don't force it. You rest more, but you don't feel guilty. You say less, but when you speak, you actually mean it. And something starts to build inside you. Not hype, not ego, not motivation. Just this quiet, unshakable knowing. I'm not chasing anything anymore. Because you're not proving anything now. You're not performing peace. You're living it. You're not acting like you're okay. You actually are. Even when things are hard. Even when people misunderstand you. Even when it's quiet for a while. You've stopped trying to escape your own life. And now that you're in it, fully, even the hard moments don't break you like they used to. Because you're not building on quicksand anymore. You're building from something deeper. Something that can't be faked. Something that doesn't care about being flashy, approved, or liked. It just wants truth. It just wants peace. It just wants to exist without constantly having to perform for the right to be here. And now you know. You don't have to earn your existence anymore. You're allowed to just be here, fully, unedited, unapproved, enough. And maybe that's the whole point. Not to build a better version of the mask, but to finally let it drop so you can live. Not as a performance, but as a person. If this spoke to something real in you, comment the word real. Just that. Let it be a moment of honesty between you and you.